Hey guys, in my last video, I didn't realize I was on step 4. I was tying it in with step 3 and kind of lost it a little bit. So, this video, I'll kind of like tie in with step 4 and we're moving on to step 5. I made the decision to go ahead and start looking at my disorder as a companion versus an enemy. And tried to perceive it in a positive way. Basically, every time that those symptoms would start to show up, I think of it as my disorder trying to tell me that it was there for me, that it was hadn't abandoned me, and whatnot. And started thinking of it as a companion, as a guardian. And really, in a lot of ways, this leads us into point 5. The relationship between me and my disorder was almost comparable to failing marriage. And I realized that I had to break away from people during this time in order to strengthen that relationship. Because very similar to a failing relationship, we'd both hurt each other. Many people try to convince you that the two of you are better off without each other, and you're kind of learning to be tender again, or for the first time. That requires a lot of time and energy together, and the more you're spending that time together, the more you're reinforcing each other, the less time you spend buying into other people and diverting your attention to other people, and it creates a sort of us versus them mentality, especially if there's been a lot of damage, and if that damage can be related to other people trying to impose their will upon your life, it is absolutely necessary to redirect any feelings of self-loathing or worthlessness that you've attached to this disorder to the people who are making you feel worthless and hurting you. So, in order to take that blame away from that companion of yours. And so that's what I went ahead and did. I spent quite a lot of time on that. The goal is to turn it into something that can hold up to that barrage. Something that isn't so easily threatened by people's appraisal of your situation. So I went ahead and I went along those lines. Not a lot you could say about it. It's just a lot of time and energy and focus on the positive. Learning to redirect romantic feelings that you might have for another partner or someone like that to that disorder, and basically turning it into your favorite person. Is the classic term for borderline personality. You're turning it into your favorite person. And the great part about that is that in many ways it is the perfect companion for someone with borderline personality disorder. Your disorder, your companion personality is exactly what you need in order to be able to get better. It's almost 100%, if not 100% reliable in all the ways that you need it to be. That's why your mind put it there. So, taking the time to reconfigure your mind, to see those things that you're looking for in other places in your disorder, and moving forward from there. That brings us to step 6. After enough time has passed and you put enough energy into it, and this relationship becomes more solid, and you don't doubt it anymore like you used to, now you start to try to reintegrate. You separated yourself from society in order to focus on each other, and now it's time to reintegrate with society. During this period, you're going to come to a crossroads before you move on. And that will basically involve you choosing whether or not you want to reintegrate or whether you want to continue to separate further from society. Because, quite simply put, when I was dealing with all my outrageous symptoms of borderline personality disorder, it was easy for me to say of myself, and it was easy for other people to say of me, that that was the reason why people mistreated me. But when I was able to get over those symptoms and those symptoms were no longer an issue, I was still being treated that way. It hadn't changed at all. It turns out that in my case at least, it had nothing to do with my disorder. It had everything to do with the people around me and the ways that they weren't willing to deal with their shit. So, what I ended up basically deciding was that I really didn't want to reintegrate. I wanted to continue to separate. I'd found everything that I was looking for that was compelling me to try to become a member or stay a member of society in my disorder, and I just really found myself needing and wanting less human interaction from that point. What lies down the other path, I don't know. I didn't travel it. I have no desire to travel it at this point. So, maybe someday someone will do their own documentary following this program, and we'll see what kind of things await on the other side. All right. So basically, now that I've chosen separation, what's left to do? I'm gonna make another video about this topic particularly, but one of the issues with borderline personality disorder is there's an ever prevalent feeling of or compulsion to examine self-destructive activities, including while not excluded to suicide. And I don't really feel suicidal, but I embrace it also as part of my disorder, in that I don't intend to live long. I want to live according to my terms, but I don't want to live long. And but I keep that in check, and I keep my life on track by embracing the fact that I have a shorter life because of it. And as such, I examine what I would prefer to do before my time here is up, things that I might regret not having done. And in my particular case, I wanted to just impart what little wisdom I had left that might benefit my niece. I wanted to pay off my debts, and I want to own a Siberian Husky for a little while. So they're very simple goals. They're very doable. They're within my power to make happen. And they're what I would choose to do if I wasn't integrating myself further into society and into companionship of a more human nature. Eighth step, don't look back. You've got to learn to embrace those goals. And whatever you gain by proceeding down that path, you focus on that, and you try to make peace with what you left behind the best you can. There will still be times when you'll think about the people that you might have left behind. You might especially struggle with feelings of abandonment, that you abandoned them. But the key is to realize that you are where you are for a reason, and that it has very little to do with you. And as a result, you are where you are. It's not your fault. It's just the way it is. And just don't hold the bad over the good. Especially if you got a short life. So, that's it for this. Seems like we wrapped it up in about 2 a little bit longer videos. Like I said, my next video is going to be on the topic of what happens, how do you perceive, how do you deal with not wanting to live, because it's common in people with borderline personality disorder, and even with people who don't suffer from borderline personality disorder. And I'd like to go more in depth with how I deal with it, and how I've made peace with it, in a way that it still remains ever present, but it doesn't overpower me. So that'll be the next video. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below if you haven't already. Have a great life.